Joining us now, Republican Congressman Mike Lawler of New York and Democratic Congressman Jared Moskowitz of Florida. Gentlemen, good morning to you both. Thank you for being here. I know you're off to a classified briefing about Israel in just a moment, so we appreciate you stopping by. First of all, Congressman Lawler and then Congressman Moskowitz, what can you say about the Americans who the administration has said some of them likely have been kidnapped and are being held hostage, and Americans who are still stuck inside of Israel, about getting to them and getting them out?
Well, I think obviously this is a terrible tragedy. 14 American lives killed among the hundreds of Israeli innocents that were killed. Obviously, great concern about the number of people missing or presumed to be being held hostage. I think the United States, in cooperation with the Israeli government and military, needs to do everything in our power to get these potential hostages home, but also to evacuate American citizens that are in Israel. I've been calling for 2 days now for the military to send in planes to help expedite the evacuation. I have hundreds of citizens, residents of the 17th Congressional District of New York, who are in Israel currently and want to come home. And the problem is we have no U.S. commercial air carriers, aircrafts that are currently operating. Turkish Airlines just suspended operation. And so it is very, very difficult to get people out, and the military needs to help expedite that removal.
Congressman Moskowitz, what are you hearing from the citizens of your district?
Well, they're angry, Willie. They're angry. They're shocked. I mean, to see such barbarism. I was at the kibbutz in August where these babies were all killed. So to hear about beheadings, to see young women kidnapped, raped next to a dead friend or spouse, to see a Holocaust survivor taken hostage who thought that they would never have to go back to that again in their life. And so people, the anger is palpable. And you see that not just in my district, but around the country, around the world. I mean, they've taken 100 hostages, not just Israelis, not just Americans, but Italians, folks from other countries. So this is an international crisis. And so that's why you've seen President Biden with the speech last night. That's why you've seen the United States come and say we stand with Israel. And that's why it's so important people like myself, Congressman Lawler, and the rest of Congress stand with the folks of Israel for the largest terrorist attack in their history. Just like the world stood with us when we had that in New York in 9/11, we must stand with Israel.
So, Congressman Lawler, you all in the Foreign Affairs Committee passed a bipartisan resolution expressing support for the state of Israel in all of this. But there is the question of whether the wider House, without leadership in place, can get the money and resources it needs, new money and resources, to Israel. Are you concerned at all that this protracted race to choose a new speaker in your caucus could impact the ability to support Israel?
Well, this is one of the reasons why I was totally opposed to removing Speaker McCarthy to begin with. You never know what's going to happen in the world, and that we should never be removing a speaker without cause. And so, unfortunately, the House right now is paralyzed until we elect a new speaker. I think currently the administration has the resources and ability to move, military apparatus and do what they need to do to support Israel. But we need additional aid. We need to add funding, especially to help supplement the Iron Dome. But we need to get back to work. We have a lot of work to do. There are a lot of crises, both domestically and internationally. Hamas is a terrorist organization backed by Iran, period. It's why Jared and I introduced the SHIP Act earlier this year to put more sanctions in place on Iranian petroleum. There is a lot that we need to do in addition to funding to take on the terrorist regime that has brought Israel to its knees here. I believe very strongly Israel is our greatest friend and ally. They will get through this with our support, and they will come out of it stronger. But we need to make sure that they have the resources and the capabilities, militarily, financially, to do everything they have to eliminate Hamas and any other bad actors that try to take advantage of this situation.
Congressman Moskowitz, please feel free to add your 2 cents about the issue here, the lack of leadership in the House, and how that could hinder aid to Israel. But also, the administration is floating the idea of linking aid to Israel and aid to Ukraine in the same package. Do you feel that would be a good step, and can it pass?
Sure, I'll take the second part first. So obviously I support aid to both Ukraine and Israel. Now is a time to make sure the United States is helping our allies around the world. Obviously, if that aid gets held up, I'm for separating that, because I'm not, as you know, the politics on Ukraine are different. So I'm not going to hold up aid to Israel over aid to Ukraine, although I support, both of those things happening. As far as what's happening across the aisle, listen, a Democratic Party in this country needs a functioning Republican Party. We have a two-party system. And so while Democrats don't vote for Republican speakers and Republicans don't vote for Democratic speakers, look, I'm hoping my colleagues across the aisle figure this out quickly. It's in their interest, it's in Democrats' interest, and it's in Americans' interest that we don't have chaos, obviously, in the House. We have to pull together. We have to help our ally Israel. We have to show the world that democracy works, Congress works, and that that our adversaries around the world can see that we're going to do this on a bipartisan basis so that nobody else thinks that they're going to get involved in this war. And so we need to make sure Israel has all the tools they need to eliminate Hamas. And myself, Congressman Lawler, and the rest of Congress here is going to do what we can to make sure that happens.
Congressman Lawler, we were talking earlier on this program about the reaction of some Harvard students over the weekend who issued a proclamation indicating that Israel was solely to blame for what happened over the weekend. And I'm wondering, culturally, we seem to be a fractured country anyway, but the idea that so many highly educated people, including some members of Congress, seem not to know the difference between the definition of militant and terrorist. Your reaction to that?
Well, I think this has been one of the most disturbing aspects, frankly, of society. I think we have seen a big uprising of anti-Semitism on college campuses across this country, and that's what I view this as. It's why earlier this year I introduced the Stop Anti-Semitism on College Campuses Act, which would strip any institution of any federal funds, including federal aid for students, that promote anti-Semitism. This is a big part of why this happened. You have terrorist organizations that fundamentally do not believe in Israel's right to exist. They do not believe in the Jewish people's right to practice their faith. And if we don't root this out in our college campuses and stop promulgating this and promoting it, it is going to continue to fester. And so I think, these institutions from Harvard to Columbia to CUNY, they all have a responsibility to crack down on this. This is not a free speech issue. You have the right to free speech. You have the right to say what you want. But we don't have to pay for it, and we don't have to promote it. And I think these institutions have a responsibility to crack down on it.
I agree. Congressman Moskowitz, do you want to weigh in on this?
Well, listen, as a grandson of a Holocaust survivor, my grandmother was put into a rail car and shipped as part of the Kindertransport out of Germany. Unfortunately, this is not a surprise to me. I'm not shocked by the anti-Semitism we're seeing, because it's been building. We've been raising the alarm now for months and years that anti-Semitism is on the rise in this country. And by the way, it is a both sides issue. And so the fact that we're seeing it come out, we're seeing people go to the streets immediately after women are raped and babies are beheaded. It's ugly, it's shocking, but we know it's there. And that's why we have to do everything we can to make sure that we root out anti-Semitism in this country, that we take a tough stand. That's why President Biden was very strong last night on that subject. And that's why it's important that I stand here with my colleague to show that this is a bipartisan issue, that we're not going to allow what happened in Israel, we're not going to allow what happened in Germany to ever come back, because the people who are chanting in the street celebrating what happened. That's what they want. They want the elimination of the Jewish people.
Republican Congressman Mike Lawler and Democratic Congressman Jared Moskowitz, thank you both very much for coming on the show this morning. We appreciate it.